A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to this Sunday's edition of Primetime News, coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka.
And I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
The headlines on Newsfirst. The United States and Iran prepare to reach a final agreement on a peace deal within the next 24 hours. While the opposition claims the rupee is in crisis, Bloomberg reports that the Sri Lankan rupee has become one of the strongest performing currencies in Asia within a short period. Differences of opinion emerge within the SJB over participation in the all-party conference.
අපි සර්වපාක්ෂික සාකච්ඡාවකට සූදානම් බවත් අපි ඒක හොඳ හිතින් කරන දෙයක්.
අධිකාරී මණ්ඩලයට ඉදිරිපත් කොට අනුමැතියක් නැතුව කිසිදු සමුළුවකට යෑමට පක්ෂයට අයිති නැහැ.
Suspected meningitis case reported involving an inmate at the Agunakola Palace prison. 7 other suspected inmates admitted to hospital. Rainfall expected to intensify in the southwestern parts of the country in the coming days. More than 31,000 people affected by the heavy rains.
And now the stories in detail. The world is closely watching unfolding developments surrounding a potential peace agreement between the United States and Iran as its diplomatic efforts move into a critical phase aimed at ending months of conflict in the Middle East.
According to reports from international media, the two sides are now working on a draft framework for a peace deal, with discussions reportedly largely negotiated and final details being finalized.
The proposed agreement is set to focus on ending hostilities, easing regional tensions and reopening the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz, a key global energy shipping route.
Thinati Ratna will bring us the latest updates and in-depth analysis on the evolving situation.
Yes, thank you, Sandru and Arundhati. Well, the US President Donald Trump says that he has instructed the negotiators not to rush into a deal with Iran since time is on the US's side, adding that the US blockade in the Strait of Hormuz will quote-unquote remain in full force and effect until an agreement is reached, certified and signed. Now the developments comes as Trump earlier said today that an agreement has been largely negotiated subject to finalization between the US, Iran and regional powers. The proposed memorandum of understanding reportedly includes reopening of the Strait of Hormuz as well as talks aimed at formally ending the US-Israel war on Iran. Now, mediators, including regional partners, have played a significant role in facilitating the talks as both Washington and Tehran signal cautious optimism despite several unresolved issues. Now let's take a look at the latest developments unfolding around this situation.
US President Donald Trump said that a memorandum of understanding in ceasefire talks to end the US-Israel war with Iran has been largely negotiated. Trump said that the agreement will include reopening the Strait of Hormuz, adding that it remained subject to finalization by US and Iranian negotiators and various other countries. The US President made the announcement after holding a call with leaders and officials from Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Pakistan, Jordan, Egypt, Turkey and Bahrain. He said he also held a separate call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Posting on Truth Social, he said that the final aspects and details of the deal are currently being discussed and will be announced shortly. Excerpt.
An agreement has been largely negotiated subject to finalization between the United States of America, the Islamic Republic of Iran and the various other countries as listed. Separately, I had a call with Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel, which likewise went very well. Final aspects and details of the deal are currently being discussed and will be announced shortly, in addition to many other elements of the agreement. The Strait of Hormuz will be opened.
End of excerpt. The announcement was the latest turn in a week that began with Trump threatening Iran that time was running out for an agreement on a more lasting ceasefire. He later told reporters he had been just moments away from resuming attacks, which he then decided to put on hold at the behest of Gulf countries. What points are reportedly in the draft peace agreement? During the extended truce, the Strait of Hormuz would be reopened with no toll in place. The US would lift its blockade of Iranian ports. The US would remove some sanctions on Iran to allow it to freely sell oil. The deal includes commitments from Iran that it will never try to obtain nuclear weapons. US forces mobilized to the region will remain for the 60-day extension and will only withdraw once a permanent deal is reached. The draft MOU also calls for an end to the war between Israel and Iran-backed Lebanon-based militant group Hezbollah. Iranian officials have confirmed negotiations are ongoing and some headway has been made. Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghi, referring to the Pakistani delegation's consultations in Tehran on talks aimed at ending the imposed war on Iran, said, quote, "We are in the finalization stage of a memorandum of understanding," end quote. Ismail Baghi said yesterday that Pakistan has played an important role as the main mediator of the talks, and the goal of the delegation's trip to Tehran was to continue the exchange of messages between Iran and the United States. Baghi also made remarks regarding the possibility of reaching an agreement with the United States. Excerpt.
We may say that we are very far and very close to an agreement. On the one hand, we have the experience of the American side contradicting itself and changing their views. They have expressed contradictory positions many times. We cannot be completely sure that this approach will not change.
End of excerpt. The spokesperson went on to say that Iran's intention was to first reach an understanding on an MOU consisting of 14 paragraphs. And in this MOU, the most important issues that are necessary to end the imposed war and the issues that are of fundamental importance to Iran should be included. Excerpt.
We are in the stage of finalizing this memorandum of understanding. The issues that are being discussed at this stage are focused on ending the war. The issue of ending the US naval aggression and issues related to the release of blocked Iranian assets will be addressed in this memorandum of understanding.
End of excerpt. However, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian says no decision will be made on a deal with the US without the permission of Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei. Meanwhile, Iranian state-linked media Fast News Agency reported early today that the agreement would allow Iran to manage the Strait of Hormuz and that Trump's assertion on the key waterway was inconsistent with reality. Iran's semi-official Tasnim News Agency also reported today that the potential deal between Iran and the US stipulates that the number of ships able to transit the Strait of Hormuz would return to the pre-war level within 30 days. Iran emphasized it would exercise its sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz through various means, the details of which will be announced. Meanwhile, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi held separate telephone conversations with his counterparts from Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Egypt to discuss the latest diplomatic efforts to end the US-Israeli war of aggression against Iran. While he briefed Saudi Foreign Minister on the latest diplomatic developments, he also exchanged views with the Qatari Foreign Minister on ongoing diplomatic initiatives and regional consultations. Pakistan has been the main mediator between the US and Iran, despite the involvement of regional countries like Qatar and Saudi Arabia pushing for a deal. Pakistan has been at the center of all diplomatic efforts, particularly Pakistan's Army Chief Asim Munir, who has visited Tehran twice during the war. He concluded his most recent visit to Iran yesterday, during which encouraging progress was made. Meanwhile, Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, following the call with Trump and the group of Middle Eastern leaders, said talks between Iran and the US could take place very soon. Posting on X, he congratulated President Trump on his extraordinary efforts to pursue peace. Excerpt.
The discussions provided a useful opportunity to exchange views on the current regional situation and how to move the ongoing peace efforts forward to bring lasting peace in the region. Pakistan will continue its peace efforts with utmost sincerity, and we hope to host the next round of talks very soon.
End of excerpt. Meanwhile, while the Pakistani delegation tours in China, a US delegation including US Secretary of State Marco Rubio are on a 4-day official visit to India. Speaking to reporters in Delhi, Rubio confirmed the possibility of good news regarding the peace deal with Iran later today. The top US diplomat asserted that the ultimate goal is to make sure Iran could never have a nuclear weapon. Rubio made these remarks while addressing a joint press conference with India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. World leaders have cautiously welcomed the developments, urging both sides to maintain dialogue and warning that any agreement must ensure lasting regional stability and security. The European Commission. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has welcomed, quote-unquote, the progress towards an agreement between the US and Iran. She wrote on X, quote, "We need a deal that truly de-escalates the conflict, reopens the Strait of Hormuz, and guarantees toll-free full freedom of navigation. Iran must not be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon," end quote. The United Kingdom. British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has welcomed progress towards the agreement between the US and Iran. Starmer said on X, quote, "We need to see an agreement that brings the conflict to an end and reopens the Strait of Hormuz. We will work with our international partners to seize this moment and achieve a long-term diplomatic settlement," end quote.
We'll take a look at more international news a little later during our bulletin, but now shifting to local news. A conference organized by a coalition of several political parties under the banner of the joint opposition was held today in Jayala. The event was conducted under the theme Horut Borut Ekamitakata Paradavamu, loosely translated to "Let's defeat corruption and lies together." However, the Samagi Jana Balawege, which holds the opposition's majority, did not take part in the conference.
Among those who attended the conference were Professor G.L. Peris, Nimal Siripala de Silva, Nimal Lanza, Prasanna Ranatunga, Chamra Sampath Dasanayaka, Dayasiri Jaisekara, Rohita Begunawardana, Patali Champika Ranavaka, Ajit Mana Peruma, Lasanta Aligiyavanna, Asanka Navaratna and Maitri Gunaratna, among others.
When we look around, sometimes the person sitting next to us may be someone who once worked against us. But when we step back, we tend to feel like we are all together. We have to stand together, united as one, setting aside all differences. That itself is a good example. Even for those in the government, they are trying to show that there is no one else who can replace them. We also say we cannot do it alone. But then who else is there? This is a moment where the united opposition needs to come together. When we say the joint opposition, political leaders representing every single party are here today. Members from the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, UNP, SJP, as well as everyone from the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna are here. We made mistakes. We are now forming a joint opposition to correct ourselves from where we went wrong. Who is the main enemy? This government. Forget party colors and differences. Wherever there is a stand to be taken against the JVP government, go out and protest. Wherever there is an opportunity to unite, unite. There is no other alternative. These people are bringing repression. The more we rise up like this, the more they will strike. As they keep striking, let's get ready to face it. The price of the dollar is rising day by day. This government has no plan whatsoever to stop it. It won't take too long. But what we need to do is unite. And we must be ready to play this catch. That is what is required. The people of this country have also realized the truth about you guys by now. Because of that, you won't be getting dollars anymore. Find the dollars yourselves. My friends, keep one thing in mind regarding this dollar going up or stopping this country's economic crisis. Forget doing it like this. Even if Anuruddha Kumara stands on his head and struggles, I'm telling you from this stage, Anuruddha Kumara, you cannot get that done. You absolutely cannot do it. Start the program to send this government home starting today. We have been inside prison. Even after coming out of prison, we have fought. We fought even while inside prison. It will be the exact same way again.
Samagi Jana Balawege, Member of Parliament Ajit P. Pereira, says that the opposition is ready for an all-party conference regarding the current situation.
Even at this moment, we can see that a crisis exists. Before that crisis reaches an unmanageable state, we are ready to provide the necessary support. As a party, we reached an agreement with all the parties in the opposition. We are ready for an all-party discussion and prepared to discuss a future roadmap to protect the economy for the sake of the country. So, this is something we are doing in good faith. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition informed the President about this over the phone and expressed our stance on the matter. The President said that he is currently in Ampara and that he would express his views regarding it after returning to Colombo.
පක්ෂයක් විතරක් නෙවෙයි විපක්ෂයේම හැටියට.
Not just a single party, but as the entire opposition. The entire opposition in Parliament met 2 days ago at our number 30 opposition leaders' office and publicly reached that agreement.
ප්‍රසිද්ධියේ ඒ එකඟතාවයට ආවේ.
Anand Palitha, the convener and media spokesperson of the Samgit Joint Trade Union Federation, joined a press conference held at the exact same location following Ajit P. Pereira's press briefing. During the briefing, he strongly rejected participating in an all-party conference.
සර්වපාක්ෂික සමුළුවක් අපි එකඟ නැහැ.
We do not agree to an all-party conference. What the opposition should do is immediately call the people out onto the streets. If our party is to attend an all-party conference, it must be proposed to the working committee. We need to know what those proposals are. We have a right to know what is being discussed at an all-party conference. I'm also a member of the working committee representing the trade unions. I explicitly state that before attending any conference, the proposals prepared for the visit must be presented to our party's working committee, and the party has no right to attend any conference without its approval. No one should attempt to ruin our party's forward journey by mixing filth into it. The leader has not made such a decision. I will speak openly. We are the ones feeling this pain. I'm not afraid to say it. When Mr. Ajit P. Pereira spoke about this yesterday, I spoke to the leader. These things cannot be accepted. The trust placed in the SJB remains because they are corrupt, and we expose that corruption. So if we go and sit with them, we risk being tainted by that same corruption.
Samagit Janabalawekya Member of Parliament Rohan Bandara says the rupee has become the fastest depreciating currency in South Asia.
The rupee has become the fastest depreciating currency in South Asia. Yesterday, it dropped by around 8 cents, but today it has dropped even further than that. On the other side, people accuse the central bank robbery for causing the state to collapse. But what was the actual theft committed in the central bank robbery? Did Ranil Wickremesinghe take the money? There's nothing like that. The only fraud involved there was a tender scam, the leaking of a state secret. Information regarding the exact volume of bonds to be released was leaked. That was what went out. Arjuna Mahendran and his group took it. Because of that, they prepared to take this large amount. Due to those secrets leaking out to the public, a certain loss was caused to the country. What was the relief given to the people during this period? Did we become economically strong? Did the economic growth rate increase? None of those things happened. Ranil Wickremesinghe had to face the criticism. We run on those genes, the reserve strength within the United National Party.
What is the opposition doing? These are the views expressed by the leader of second generation political party, Ovidu Vijayveera.
The massive economic crisis in this country emerged specifically due to the volume of sovereign bonds taken during the government of good governance. The politicians who trapped this country under that debt burden have now turned into professors. They have become economic experts. What kind of economic experts are these? We saw what happened during the government of good governance. They kept taking loans that weren't even taken during wartime, took sovereign bonds repeatedly, used them to prop things up, took 2,000 to 3,000 million US dollars in loans to prop things up, and created a situation where the economy collapsed and became bankrupt. I saw just a day or two ago that they are trying to offer advice now. By this precise moment, the people of this country have completely rejected this bankrupt opposition. This bankrupt opposition can no longer take this country forward. Now, this opposition thinks that this government will fall tomorrow or the day after, and the administration will fall into their hands. So, to the opposition that likes to dream, we tell them to keep on dreaming. We tell them to keep dreaming on. You can dream those dreams while out in the open, or in another 2 or 3 months, you can dream those exact dreams while counting the roof tiles of a prison cell. We again tell the opposition to go ahead and dream. You're not even fulfilling the role of an opposition. At this moment, the opposition is incapable of bringing constructive proposals to the government. I believe we have never before had a political force that does not understand even the ABCs of politics as much as this opposition currently in Parliament. But what are they doing today? Are they addressing the real issues of the people? Are they bringing solutions to the real issues? None of that. What this opposition is doing is trying to project the ideology and vision that created this crisis, as if the old crisis was somehow better. Sometimes we wonder if these experts have even seen other countries in the world. What a joke. Therefore, we are now compelled to need an alternative opposition within the country, not the opposition currently sitting in this parliament. An opposition needs to be built outside of it now, very soon. I think we believe that the people will first chase away the opposition.
ඉතාම ඉක්මනින් මං හිතනවා අපි හිතනවා ජනතාව ඉස්ලාම ගහලා පන්නන්න විපක්ෂයට.
While the opposition expresses various views about the economy, what do international financial analysts say about the Sri Lankan rupee? Bloomberg states that the Sri Lankan rupee has suddenly managed to become one of the strongest currencies in Asia within a very short period of time. It highlights that the strengthening of the Sri Lankan rupee marks its largest growth recorded in approximately 3 years.
What is Bloomberg, which speaks about the Sri Lankan rupee and the economy?
Bloomberg is a financial services company founded in 1981. As a leading and trusted global provider of financial and media services, its main headquarters is located in New York City. Operating in more than 170 locations worldwide, Bloomberg provides essential financial software, financial data, and analytics for investors and financial institutions across the globe.
What does such a massive and trusted institution say about Sri Lanka's rupee today?
The Bloomberg website reports that the Sri Lankan rupee, which had been continuously depreciating for 9 consecutive days, has strengthened remarkably against the US dollar to become the best performing currency in Asia. The report highlights that on Friday, the 22nd of May, the value of the rupee appreciated by approximately 2.7%. According to the Bloomberg report, this marks the rupee's largest single-day growth recorded since March 2023.
What factors influence the appreciation of the rupee?
Bloomberg points out several reasons for the remarkable growth of the rupee. Foremost among them is the anticipation of foreign exchange inflows. As market stakeholders expect upcoming foreign exchange disbursements from the International Monetary Fund and the Asian Development Bank, those who previously held onto dollars have been prompted to release their foreign currency into the market. The government's steps to impose an import duty surcharge on private vehicle imports, along with the central bank's announcement of its intervention to control market fluctuations, have also contributed to the stabilization of the rupee. Due to the oil crisis associated with the Middle East, currencies across the entire Asian region had been under pressure. Bloomberg points out that while the depreciation of the rupee had recently accelerated because importers were purchasing more dollars and exporters were delaying the conversion of their foreign exchange into rupees, this situation has now reversed with the new trend. According to the exchange rates published by the Bank of Ceylon this morning, the selling price of a US dollar was recorded at 336 rupees and 50 cents. Meanwhile, the buying price of the US dollar was recorded at 327 rupees and 50 cents.
Sri Lanka's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism, Vijitha Herath, is scheduled to undertake an official visit to Australia and New Zealand on the 26th of May.
Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism, Vijitha Herath, will undertake an official visit to New Zealand and Australia from the 26th of May to the 3rd of June 2026. The visit comes at the invitation of the two governments. During the visit, Minister Herath will hold bilateral discussions with his counterparts, Minister Winston Peters of New Zealand and Minister Penny Wong of Australia. He will also meet senior government representatives, officials, business leaders, academics, think tanks and members of the Sri Lankan community in both countries. A key highlight of the visit to New Zealand will be the ceremonial opening of the Sri Lanka High Commission in Wellington. The visit is expected to further strengthen Sri Lanka's long-standing relations with both New Zealand and Australia and enhance cooperation in areas of mutual interest.
This is extreme weather.
The Department of Meteorology states that several areas could experience further rainfall due to the influence of the southwest monsoon.
The Disaster Management Center reported that over 31,000 people have been affected.
The Kalungaga remains at minor flood level in the Millakanda area. Water levels in the Putupaula and Allagava areas also remain at flood risk level. Meanwhile, the Athanagalu Oya continues to pose a flood threat in Dunamale. The Department of Irrigation has advised the residents living in low-lying areas nearby to remain vigilant. Due to the overflowing of the Kalungaga, low-lying areas including Naragala, Ballapitiya, Kandana and Veeravatha in the Maduravila Divisional Secretariat Division remain inundated. The Gampaha Jayala Road in the Akravita area and the Gampaha Kandana Road in the Kirindivita area remain flooded. Meanwhile, due to heavy rainfall, landslide red alerts issued for several Divisional Secretariat Divisions in 2 districts remain in effect. The evacuation level red alerts have been issued for the Divisional Secretariat areas of Dehi Ovita, Daraniyagala and Ruwanwala in the Kegaul district and Ratnapura, Ayagama, Kuruvita and Ahaliyagoda in the Ratnapura district. In addition, early landslide warnings have been issued for Colombo, Gampaha, Kalutara and Nur Elia districts. Meanwhile, the Disaster Management Centre says that 31,072 people from 7,983 families have been affected due to the adverse weather conditions. A total of 1,724 people are currently being sheltered in 18 safe locations. The DMC also reported that 859 houses have sustained a partial damage, while 2 houses have been completely destroyed.
The Department of Meteorology has forecasted for the southwest monsoon to gradually establish across the island, with an increase in rainfall mainly over the southwestern parts of the island.
That's right, and we now cross over to Thinal Tilakaratne for the latest weather update.
Thank you. And in your latest weather update, the southwest monsoon is gradually establishing across the island. Now, this is an increase in rainfall over the southwestern parts of the island, which is expected during the next few days. Now, thunder showers or showers will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamu and the northwestern provinces, as well as in the Gaul, Matra, Kandy and the Nuwara districts. Now, fairly heavy showers, about 75 millimeters, are likely at some places in the western and Sabaragamu provinces, as well as once again in the Gaul and the Matra districts. Now, a few showers will occur in Anuradhapura and Mannar districts. Showers or thunder showers may also occur at a few places in the Uva and Ampara provinces, as well as the Ampara Batiklo districts. Fairly strong winds of about 30 to 40 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the western slopes of the central hills, northern, north central, northwestern and southern provinces, as well as in the Trincomalee district. Now, the Met Department has urged the general public to take adequate precautions to minimize damage caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers.
This is extreme weather.
The Ministry of Health states that a febrile illness reported from several areas of the island has been identified as meningitis. Its Secretary Dr. Anil Jasinger stated that spinal fluid tests conducted on the reported patients revealed that the majority of those affected by the disease are children.
Fever, headache, vomiting and nausea, neck stiffness and sensitivity to light have been identified as symptoms of meningitis. The Secretary to the Ministry of Health, Dr. Anil Jasinger, stated that the illness spreads through close contacts, contaminated drinking water and physical touch. More than 100 cases have been identified from the Deniyaya, Diathalava, Kurunagala and Kandy areas to date. Furthermore, the Secretary to the Health Ministry stated that the public should not cause themselves undue panic regarding the meningitis situation. He also emphasized that to prevent the disease, people should drink boiled and cooled water, wear face masks and avoid staying in crowded places. An inmate at the Angunakola Palace prison has been confirmed to have contracted meningitis. The director of the Hambantota Hospital, Dr. Ayanthi Jayawardena, stated that another 7 inmates with suspected symptoms of meningitis have been admitted to the hospital. Steps have been taken to obtain their medical reports. Meanwhile, the Department of Prisons stated that an inmate held at the Angunakola Palace prison passed away recently due to a sudden illness. Its media spokesperson A.C. Kachanayaka stated that the inmate's cause of death has not yet been revealed. The 8 relevant inmates were hospitalized subsequent to that incident.
One of Sri Lanka's recent standout films, Dharma Yuddha 2, brought to you by the Maharaja Media Network, has made a strong impact at the box office, drawing in audiences with a fresh cinematic experience and record-breaking performance.
The film's success is widely attributed to the combined efforts of its creative team, from the director and leading cast to the technical crew, whose collective contribution made not just local audiences but audiences worldwide embracing the film.
That's right. Now, in recognition of this remarkable achievement, a felicitation ceremony was held last night at Stein Studios, Ratmalana, honouring the individuals who made Dharma Yuddha 2 Sri Lanka's #1 highest grossing movie ever.
Date 23rd January 2026. Investigations into a long-anticipated scene finally launched across cinemas island-wide. Millions of viewers across Sri Lanka became eyewitnesses to this cinematic experience, marking a new chapter in the country's film history and reshaping its cinematic narrative. A record-breaking Sri Lankan film that has achieved the highest number of viewers within a single day. A record-breaking Sri Lankan film with the largest number of houseful screenings recorded in a single day. A record-breaking Sri Lankan film that has registered the highest single-day box office revenue in the industry. A record-breaking Sri Lankan film that recorded the highest opening weekend earnings. A record-breaking Sri Lankan film that attracted largest audience turnout over a weekend. A record-breaking Sri Lankan film that recorded the highest weekly box office collection to date. A record-breaking Sri Lankan film that has been screened in 27 countries, becoming the most widely released Sri Lankan film internationally. Dharma Yuddha 2 has achieved an unprecedented box office milestone in Sri Lankan film history, recording a remarkable and steady rise in revenue over its theatrical run. The film crossed 50 million rupees within just 6 days, 100 million rupees in 10 days, 200 million rupees in 17 days, 300 million rupees in 26 days, 400 million rupees in 36 days, and 500 million rupees in 50 days, marking a historic achievement within a 120-day victorious theatrical run. The film surpassed the 600 million rupee milestone, becoming the first and only Sri Lankan film to reach this level. A felicitation ceremony honouring everyone who contributed to the success of Dharma Yuddha 2 was held last night at Stein Studios, Ratmalana, with the aim of recognising and valuing their dedicated contribution. The ceremony brought together a wide range of contributors to the film, including director Aruna Jayawardena, the cast of the film, technical crew, and cinema hall owners who supported its theatrical release. Adding significance to the occasion, several veteran personalities from the Sri Lankan film industry, including Chairman of the National Film Corporation, Sudat Mahadevulwala, were also present at the colourful gathering. Chief Executive Officer of MTV, Yasarat Kamasari, acknowledged the team who played a key role in the film's success.
When we began this film, our biggest challenge was deciding how to complete the lead character's journey. There weren't many options when it came to selecting someone for the role of Harishchandra. In fact, there was really only one choice: Bimal Jayakodi. Thank you, Bimal, for helping us overcome that challenge. I also extend my sincere gratitude to Dilhani Ekanayaka, Kusum Renu,
Kumara Tirimadura, Ashan Dias, Dinakshi Priyasad and Douglas Ranasinghe. Each of them gave their absolute best to this film, and that is why it has now become a production that has earned rupees 635 million in revenue solely within Sri Lanka. I also express my heartfelt appreciation and gratitude to the entire technical crew who worked behind the scenes. This film was produced by Sirasa, but what's remarkable is that every television network spoke about it. I believe that is the kind of culture we should encourage, and I sincerely thank all media organizations for that support. Ultimately, it is the audience who brought this film to where it is today. My deepest gratitude goes to every viewer, as well as to the cinema owners and distribution teams who helped bring the film to audiences across the country. It is through their collective support that this film achieved such extraordinary success.
Director Aruna Javardhana, along with the cast who played a key role behind the success of Dharma Youth There Too, were among the first to be recognized at the felicitation ceremony. The event also acknowledged the institutions that served as the film's official distribution partners, as well as cinema owners who played a crucial role in bringing the film to audiences across the country through their theatres. Following this, another group of actors and actresses who elevated the film through their performances were also honoured with awards in recognition of their contribution. The creative team behind the film, including lyricists, musicians, singers and technical crew members, all of whom contributed to its overall success, were also greatly appreciated during the event. Cinema hall owners who screened the film and attracted the highest audience turnout were also recognized during the event. The Colourful Appreciation Night stood as a tribute to everyone who contributed to the success of Dharma Youth There Too, celebrating their combined effort in making the film a remarkable achievement. Group Director of the Capital Maharaja Group, Shivan Daniel, also addressed the felicitation ceremony.
I must convey our unconditional appreciation and gratitude to all of you on behalf of the Chairman and the group of directors of the Capital Maharaj organization for the unstinted support, love, commitment, dedication and good wishes that all of you brought together that helped all of us achieve a record that shows not only Sri Lankans but the world that something made in Sri Lanka can be truly great. And that's something that we all can be very proud of.
From Kadawunu Porunduwa, the first Sinhala film, which marked the beginning of Sri Lanka's cinematic journey, the industry has passed through various golden and challenging eras, shaping legends, kings and queens of Sinhala cinema. Now spanning 79 years, as the industry steps into its 80th year, one film has managed to leave a golden imprint on this historic cinematic legacy.
හොඳ නිර්මාණයක් එළියට ආවොත් අපිට මේ ජනතාව ගෙන්න ගන්න පුළුවන් කියන එක අපිට පේනවා සිරස.
මොනම චිත්‍රපටයක් දින 100 ඉක්මව දුවනවා කියන්නේ හොඳ ආදායම වාර්තා ලබනවා කියන්නේ ප්‍රේක්ෂකයින් සිනමා ශාලාවට ආකර්ෂණය කර ගන්නවා කියන්නේ මොන චිත්‍රපටය වුණා සිනමා කරුව හැටියට අපි සලකන්නේ ඒක අපේ ජයග්‍රහණයක් හැටියට ජයග්‍රහණයේ අවසානයකට පැමිණලා තියෙනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම අපේ නායක සිනමා කර්මාන්තයකදී අපිට හොඳ තල්ලුවක් මේ ධර්ම චිත්‍රපටයෙන් දෙන්න පුළුවන් වුණා.
බොහොමත්ම ස්තුතියි ඔයගොල්ලන්ගෙන් ලැබුණු ආදරයට මේ චිත්‍රපටය වෙනුවෙන්.
මේ තරම් මිනිස්සුගේ රටේ ආදරය ලැබමින් මේ චිත්‍රපටය දින 100 පසු කිරීම තමයි ඊටම වැදගත් වෙන්නේ.
අපිට අපිව විශ්වාස කරලා අපිව නරඹපු මිලියනයකට අධික ආදරණීය ප්‍රේක්ෂකයන්ගේ සනම ආචාර්ය ගෞරවය පුද කරනවා.
Maharaja Media Network has already delivered a platinum era for local cinema. Now the responsibility lies in preserving it and breaking new records. The audience holds that power. We will continue to celebrate and elevate these milestones time and time again. This is our unbroken promise.
A panel discussion on redefining academic integrity in the age of AI was held today at the Faculty of Graduate Studies at the University of Colombo. The session brought together leading academics to explore the challenges of AI in higher education.
The Faculty of Graduate Studies at the University of Colombo hosted a panel discussion today titled Redefining Academic Integrity in the Age of AI. Where do we draw the line? The event was attended by the Vice-Chancellor of University of Colombo, Professor Indika Mahesh Karunatilaka.
Now when you go into social media, sometimes you might see some posts that how to publish 3 papers in 1 month using AI. There are advertisements also. Unfortunately not from Colombo, but there are advertisements. So that's quite scary. It should not be the way. That is why this discussion about ethical use of AI and the integrity is very important. And I'm really happy and I appreciate that the library has taken this lead, because that is how it should be. Because that being the library, being the repository of knowledge, that is how it should be. And how can we use AI? Because we cannot avoid using AI.
The panel discussion brought together dignitaries from the industry, including several professors, lecturers presenting various faculties. The discussion focused on the growing impact of artificial intelligence on academic work, particularly the challenges it poses to maintaining academic integrity and how universities can adopt policies and practices to address these emerging concerns responsibly.
And in international news, a man has been shot dead by US Secret Service officers after opening fire on a security checkpoint near the White House, with a bystander wounded in the gunfire.
The deceased suspect has been identified as a 21-year-old who had been already arrested by the US Secret Service in July 2025 after he tried to get entry to the White House.
That's right, and Unelka Amaratunga is ready to bring us more on this story. Unelka, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Arundhati and Sandaru. A major security scare unfolded outside the White House today after a man opened fire at a security checkpoint, prompting an immediate response from the US Secret Service. Officers returned fire, fatally shooting the suspect at the scene. Authorities say a bystander was also injured during an exchange of gunfire, while no security personnel were hurt. The White House was briefly placed under lockdown as federal agencies secured the area and launched an investigation into the incident.
A suspect was killed last evening in Washington, D.C. after he opened fire on U.S. Secret Service agents in the streets surrounding the White House. A volley of gunfire was first heard at around 6 p.m. U.S. time, with journalists who were working at the White House forced to run for cover.
It's weakening.
The U.S. Secret Service has since published a statement detailing the sequence of events. The statement said that a person had pulled a weapon from their bag in the vicinity of 17th Street and Pennsylvania Avenue and started firing on its agents. Secret Service police returned fire and struck the suspect. The suspect was then taken to the hospital and was pronounced dead. The Secret Service said a bystander was struck by gunfire but did not offer any details of their condition. However, no Secret Service agents were injured. Foreign media has since reported that the suspect was Nasir Best, a 21-year-old man who was already known to the Secret Service. A source told the outlet that Best had been arrested in July 2025 after he tried to access the White House, and he was subsequently sent to psychiatric facility. However, Best's motivation for opening fire in Washington, D.C. has not yet been identified, and there has not been any confirmation on the kind of weapon he used. The Secret Service later confirmed that President Donald Trump was in residence at the White House when the shooting unfolded. However, he was not impacted. Following the shooting, the White House was placed under lockdown for almost 1 hour.
A suicide bomb attack targeting a train carrying soldiers in Pakistan's southwestern city of Quetta has left at least 24 people dead, with more than 50 others injured. Authorities warn the casualty count may rise as rescue operations continue.
The attack took place in Quetta, the capital of Balochistan province, when a suicide vehicle reportedly struck a train carrying military personnel, triggering a massive explosion. The blast caused several train carriages to derail and catch fire, while nearby houses and buildings along the railway line suffered severe damage. Emergency services rushed to the scene, and hospitals in Quetta were placed under a state of emergency, with medical staff instructed to remain on duty as casualties were brought in. The separatist group, the Balochistan Liberation Army, has claimed responsibility for the attack. Reports indicate that Pakistan has seen a rise in militant and separatist violence in recent months, with some attacks also targeting foreign workers linked to major infrastructure projects under the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif condemned the attack, saying such acts of terrorism will not weaken the country's resolve to eliminate militancy in all its forms.
The first match Sri Lanka participated in for the 2026 Asia Rugby Championship was held today. That was against the Hong Kong team. After a thrilling encounter, the defending champions, Hong Kong, managed to win the match.
The match was held at the Colombo Racecourse grounds. Hong Kong took the lead in the first half with a score of 3-0. Stepping up in the second half, the Sri Lankan team scored 14 points. During that half, the Hong Kong team scored 12 points. Accordingly, the match ended with a score of 15-14, securing victory for the Hong Kong team. The points they scored included 2 tries, a conversion and a penalty. The Sri Lankan team scored their points through 2 tries and 2 conversions.
Sri Lanka did terrifically well to be in the lead on the hour mark, and they've managed to hold on to the 79th minute.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us.
Do take care and good night.